Good morning, boys and girls. Miss Cain here with our next installment of the Carver Chronicles. Don't feed the geckos. But before I get started on chapter 3, as I promised, I'm going to keep introducing you to my pets until I have no more pets to introduce you to. And my current pet is on my back right now, if you can see. So let me see if I can grab her. There we go. So I'm going to be honest with you. I do not remember what her name is. But she is because we just got her a month ago, and we have 7 lizards in our home. We have her. She's a Chinese water dragon. We have the bearded dragon that I introduced you to. We have a frill dragon, which I showed you to, the one that frills out. We have a red iguana. We have another large bearded dragon who I'll introduce you to next time. And then we have 2 leopard geckos. So we've got a lot of lizards in this house, but she's fairly new to our family, as are the frilled dragon and the red iguana, which I really hope I can show you the red iguana, but she's not very agreeable. They're kind of mean. You have to really give them some months to train them to be docile. But anyways, this is a Chinese water dragon. Make sure I hold it at a good angle. She loves being held. She's very docile. When you notice me try to put her back on my shoulder, she's probably not going to want to get back on my shoulder. She's probably going to want to stay on my hand, or she's going to try to crawl up my arm. So let's see what she does, because I want to get started reading the story. Yep, she is doing exactly what I thought. There we go. Good girl. All right, guys, here we go on chapter 3. Bernardo. My cousin's coming, Carlos said to Richard and Gavin the next day while they sit in the cafeteria. Richard is blowing bubbles into his carton of milk. Richard, when he finishes that, gulps down some air and lets out a big burp. He grins and looks around as if he's proud of his achievement. When's he coming? Gavin asks. Today, after school. He's going to live with you? Gavin asks. For a while. How long is that? I don't know. What's he like? Richard asks. I haven't seen him since he was little. He was kind of big and what? Gavin asks. And Carlos says again, but he can't put it into words. It's hard to explain. The bus station is crowded with travelers. Mommy checks a paper in her hand and then looks up at the numbers above the doors of the idling buses. 30, 32. Excuse the mistake. There it is, she says. She leads the way to a nearby bus. People skip or slouch down the steps of the bus, and then they go wait by the luggage hole with their eyes peeled for their bags. Carlos watches the passengers. No Bernardo. At least no one who looks like the Bernardo he remembers. Mommy glances up at the bus's number again. Yes, this is it. She watches the passengers as they go by, too. She checks her watch. Carlos glances down the rows between the idling buses. Then he feels a hand on his shoulder. When he turns around, there's Bernardo. Same face, but on a much bigger body. Still plump and kind of blockheaded, but half a head taller than Carlos. He's grinning widely. Hey, Carlos, he says. He's got a small bag of popcorn in his hand that he shoves into his canvas carry-on. Carlos thinks that Bernardo probably doesn't want to share. That's okay. Carlos wasn't in the mood for popcorn anyway. Hey, Bernardo, he says. Walking towards them is a woman with wire-rimmed glasses and a purple scarf around her neck and lots of bags hooked onto both arms. Mrs. Ruiz, his mother says. The plump woman hugs Carlos's mother lightly. This must be Carlos, she says, grinning down at him. Boy, Bernardo sure been talking about you. Really? Mommy says. Carlos is surprised. He's only met Bernardo once when he was 5. What could Bernardo have been saying about him? They reach the parking lot, and Mrs. Ruiz sees the daughter who has come to pick her up. Mrs. Ruiz waves, hands Bernardo his luggage, and hurries to a small car. At one point, she looks back and says brightly, "He's all yours." What's that supposed to mean? Carlos wonders. He looks over at Bernardo. He has a smug look on his face as if he's amused by some private joke. Mommy reaches down and gives Bernardo a hug. "My, what a big boy you've gotten to be," Mommy says. Then she frowns as if she hopes Bernardo isn't taking it the wrong way, that he knows she was referring to his height, not his width. She turns to where she thinks she parked her car and leads the way, pressing the clicker thing on the key to sound the beep that'll tell her where it is. Mommy is always forgetting where she's parked. Who doesn't? Bernardo keeps grinning at Carlos and with no warning punches him in the arm. Hard. It hurts. Carlos frowns and looks to his mother, but she's already walking briskly toward their car in the middle of a far row. He rubs his sore arm. He looks to Mommy again, but she's no help. Somehow that seems to signal the way it's going to be. "Now this is where you're going to sleep, Bernardo," Mommy says. They're standing in the middle of Carlos's room while Mommy pulls out the empty dresser drawer and shows Bernardo where he can put his clothes. She opens the closet and shoves Carlos's clothes aside on the rod. "You can put your clothes that need to be hung up in the closet, and Carlos is giving you the top bunk." Carlos looks up at his sanctuary. That's his one spot in the whole house. That's where he gets to play Heyday, a video game with farm animals, without being bothered by Issy or his mother noticing and telling him to put that thing down and get a book. His top bunk is where he searches for information about weird animals or weird insects on his tablet. That's where he gets to imagine becoming either a zoologist or an entomologist when he grows up. Maybe both. That's where he gets to look down on his world and dream. The world of his room with the ant farm and the gecko aquarium, and soon a butterfly habitat, is a reflection of him. Now, nowadays they're called terrariums, not aquariums. An aquarium is for fish, a terrarium is for lizards. Anyways, it is a reflection of him. It has Carlos written all over it. It contains everything he needs to relax and to learn stuff that he can explain to Issy. A butterfly pops out of the furry worm? She'd asked when he was trying to explain the stages of a butterfly. No, there's another stage called the chrysalis stage. What? You'll see. He didn't know how to explain the chrysalis stage. His thoughts turned back to his future career. Maybe he can even get a mason bee house to hang from the maple tree in the backyard. He'll have to convince Mommy about that one. He'll have to wait for the right time. Just before Mommy gets back downstairs, she turns to Carlos and says, "Get Bernardo a towel and a washcloth." Carlos looks at Bernardo, who's standing in the middle of the room looking around. He hurries to the linen closet, grabs a washcloth and a towel, and when he comes back, he sees Bernardo peering into the terrarium. "What are those?" Bernardo asks. "Those are my geckos," Carlos says, his heart beating in his ears. "Are they real?" Of course they're real. How come they're not moving? That's what they do. They kind of look like they're posing. It's a defensive thing. He moves between the terrarium and Bernardo. But what's there to defend themselves from? There's just the 3 of them. It's just part of their behavior. They're programmed that way. What do you mean programmed? Carlos searches for the words. It's difficult to explain. So what are their names? Bernardo presses on. Darla is the one on the rock. Peaches is behind the rock, and Gizmo is probably hiding in his little cave thing. What kinds of names are those? Bernardo turns to Carlos. Well, two are females and one's male. I just came up with those names. Bernardo makes a grunting sound. What do they eat? Crickets mostly. We get them at the pet store. And that's it? Sounds kind of boring. Bernardo starts to reach into the terrarium, but Carlos stops him. Just leave them alone for now. I'll let you hold one later. Bernardo looks at Carlos for a moment as if he's deciding whether to do what Carlos says. He looks back at the terrarium and a teeny smile plays on his lips. Then he moves to the bunk bed, climbs the ladder, and perches himself in the middle of Carlos's bed. Hey, I like it up here. Carlos had hoped that since Bernardo was on the big side, he wouldn't want to climb up and down the ladder. No such luck. He notices Bernardo is still wearing his shoes. Hey, you have your shoes on. Yeah. You can't sit on my bed with shoes on. How come? Just take them off before you get on my bed. It's my bed now. What can Carlos say to that? Thanks to Mommy, it is his bed. So Bernardo, Poppy says at dinner, you think you'll like it here? Bernardo takes a bite of his lime chicken. He chews and swallows. My mom makes this with cilantro, he says to Mommy. Then he turns to Poppy. It's okay. I guess I have to see. I'm going to miss my friends. Did you have a lot of friends in Texas, Mommy asked. Yeah, I had a lot of friends. Carlos glances at Mommy to see if she believes him, but Mommy's face doesn't show much. What else are you going to miss? I'm going to miss my soccer team. Here's some pictures before I turn the page of the geckos. And like I said, I have two leopard geckos, so I will absolutely show you guys my geckos. And here's a picture of them eating at the table. Oh, soccer, Mommy says. Yeah, and they're going to miss me too, because I score most of the goals. Wow, Mommy said, that's interesting. We need a good soccer player for Carlos's team. Now, what does Mommy mean by that? Carlos wonders. Just because he's had a few bad games, that doesn't mean she should count him out. Well, we're going to try real hard to make you feel at home. Right, Carlos? Mommy says, turning to him. Yeah, Carlos agrees. Suddenly, Bernardo is squirming in his seat. I need to go to the bathroom, he says. Sure, go ahead, Mommy says. After Bernardo leaves the table, Mommy turns to Carlos. I'm going to talk to Coach Willis and see if Bernardo can be on the team. I think that will make him feel even more at home. Don't you think that's a good idea, Carlos? Carlos can't really think just then. He's been listening to the sounds upstairs. Did Bernardo really need to go to the bathroom? Could he be in Carlos's room messing with his geckos or his ant farm? Carlos, huh? What do you think about Bernardo being on your soccer team? Yeah, okay. What's that supposed to mean? Carlos is almost certain he hears steps above his head in his bedroom. Yeah, that's fine, Mommy. He takes a sip of milk. Can I go to the bathroom too? Wait until Bernardo comes back. But I can use your bathroom. Mommy sighs. Okay, she says, don't be up there all year. And that is the end of chapter 3. You are left with a cliffhanger. What will happen next? You will find out on Friday. And that is our third chapter of the Carver Chronicles, Don't Feed the Geckos. And then we can say goodbye to our little water dragon friend here. And say goodbye. Yes, ma'am. All right, guys. I will see you guys later. And then when I find my I can't find my pen, so I'm going to have to turn this thing off by hand. Bye.